back in the room. Back in the room.
Okay.
Here we
Back
are.
in the room, Mr. Thompson. So it's a guest episode. So without further ado, let's go to the place where the distractions are landmarks and the detours are the main roads. Welcome to ADHDville. Hit the button. Thank you. Oh, I forgot my tea. I left it downstairs.
I haven't got anything to drink. Okay.
Oh, this is going to be a no drink episode where we have to get through.
Looks that way. It's a dry
using
episode.
our own mouth supply.
It's the arid episode.
Oh, I'm going to be spitting dust by the end of the episode.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Could be worse.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Tina, your ADHD bestie for number 2. So if you haven't watched number
Tina.
1,
Yay!
go back.
I love you guys. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
It was so much fun. We had so many good comments and whatnots. All right.
So let's do some quick
so
intros.
you're going to say...
I'm going to say, my name's Paul Thompson. Hello. And I was diagnosed with the combined ADH and the D almost a pair of years ago.
And I'm Martin West, and I was diagnosed with combined ADHD poo-poo platter in 2013. And we start off, as always, here in the town hall. No, I'm not in the town hall. I'm reading off an old script. That's why. We're not in the town hall. Because
we were in a bar, weren't we, last time?
Yes.
I'm hoping we're in a bar.
Right. I mean, just to catch everyone up.
Distracted head.
We're in the King's agitated head because we were the mayors of ADHDville. Then there was an election and we lost the election. Now we're the ex-mayors of ADHDville. And we just hang out in the pub.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until the political climate improves and then we may go back to being mayors again.
Yeah.
But as we are the resistance. Viva la resistance!
Yes.
Sounds topical. Sounds very topical, doesn't it?
I know it does.
It sure
it's
does.
Almost, it's like it mirrors in some kind of vague way. All right,
we're just pull right back here. Pull it back, guys.
So how have you been doing, Tina? How are you?
I've been doing well, thanks. I've been doing well. I've my kids are off for the summer, so I've been spending a lot of time really investing in some quality time with my kids, which has been really, really nice.
Okay.
Awesome.
How old are your
really
kids,
nice.
Tina?
So my oldest is 16. My oldest daughter is 16. My youngest daughter is 13. And then my son is 12. So they're right back to back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really special when I get to spend time with them individually and just have some quality time. So my 13-year-old daughter and I went up to New York City this week for a couple of days. And that was really awesome. Although New York is really, really hot right now. Whew.
Yeah.
And we were trying to be efficient and doing the subway thing and walking and oh my goodness gracious. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experience.
Energy sapping, isn't it?
Yes, we went up the one day, and that night we both were like in bed by 7:30, and I was like, "Thank God she's my child, like me," because we were both just wiped. For sure.
Yeah.
It took a lot out of us.
Kick your butt.
It absolutely did.
All right, so I mean that's interesting that we kind of bring up kids, right? Because I have kids, I have ADHD, and then I kind of once you get diagnosed, you actually was it your? I'm just trying to remember. Was it your kids getting diagnosed, and then
So it's interesting. I was just thinking about this morning. So my son was diagnosed first. And that traditionally is kind of what I hear from a lot of people is that the boys generally get diagnosed first. And my brother was diagnosed when he was young. My son has the hyperactive pronounced sort of ADHD. And he was disrupting his classroom. And it was COVID, so it was exacerbated. So it was just very, very obvious that he had it. So he got diagnosed first. And then as I investigated it to be like the perfect mom and to help him, I discovered that I had it. And then I got diagnosed. And then after that, I started looking at my girls differently. And I was like, I thought the one had it because she reminded me a lot of myself as a young person.
Right.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, shoot, I think the other one might have it too. It just manifests really differently. So basically everybody has it except my husband. Bless his heart.
Okay.
But it manifests really differently in all three kids and me. And I think that's like an interesting learning too, is that ADHD isn't like a copy paste kind of thing. It truly is a spectrum, and it truly does manifest really differently in different people.
I really like the expression you say, if you know someone with ADHD, you know someone with one person with ADHD.
Yes. Yes.
I think we should all just have different names, you know.
ADHD
Everyone's
variation
ADHD has a different name.
6,407.
Yeah,
yeah, like we should have like a flavor, you know, like we get to pick our flavor of ADHD.
A pick and mix.
Right.
Did you have
exactly. It's like your unique
days?
snack mix.
Do you have pick and mix? Like we used to have Woolworths in the 60s and 70s, a pick and mix. And you'd go and, you know, you pick.
You pick the different things that you want to have in it.
Yeah.
So I was just in New York City, and one of the things they have is like this M&M wall where you can sort of pick the different M&Ms that you have in there. So that's what I was thinking of, is like, oh, I like the caramel. I like this. I like a little bit of all of it. My daughter was like, I don't like dark chocolate, you know, so it's like you have your little pieces that make you.
So, everyone in your family manifests their ADHD in different ways, then.
Yep.
And like maybe sometimes in very different ways, I suppose.
Yeah, I think. Well, so one of the things for me is just when you look at, like, let's take one example. So there's rejection sensitive dysphoria, or RSD, right? Which is sort of almost like hypersensitivity to your emotions and being very reactive to other people. And I think of it too as like almost like a hyper empath. Like you feel other people's emotions and you feel really deeply your emotions. So really big emotions. So two of my kids, I see that in them very much. And one of them the most, like really, really high levels of it. My third, and I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to get like that specific about these kids, but like my third one, not at all. Like almost to the point where it's like, are you a sociopath? Like, what, do you understand the interaction that you're having with other people and the effect of your actions on them? Read the room, you know, like it's interesting how it manifests. Like the one is on one end of that spectrum and the other one is on the complete other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah. So how long has this whole kind of like what's the distance between like you kind of going, oh, I think my son has ADHD till now? I mean, like, how long has that ADHD language been around in your family?
All right. So my son was in second grade when he was diagnosed. That was so. I mean, it's actually easy because it was COVID, right? So COVID was 2020. So between 2020 and now, so 5 years, which honestly feels like at least 25 years because of everything that we've been through over the last 5 years. It feels, and it feels like there's different chapters, right? There's like the chapter of my son. There's a chapter of me trying to get diagnosed. There's the chapter of me being diagnosed and figuring out how to navigate life after I got diagnosed, my medication journey. You know, it's fascinating. And even like looking back on my childhood and evaluating my mother and trying to get her to acknowledge her undiagnosed ADHD. That is not ever happening.
Yeah. I've not had that conversation.
I don't know if you guys have. Do you see it in your family tree at all? Do you guys see it? Have you like seen it in your family tree?
Me personally, I can. But it's me, yes, my sister, and I can say my sister because we've had the conversation. and she'll be okay. We mention it, but otherwise, my mum's not around anymore. I think my mum maybe. With my dad, I couldn't even have the conversation with him. So, but I think it's mixed up with some other stuff that's overlapping. So it's a bit harder to see.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's harder to pinpoint.
I know exactly what you mean.
Overlaps with stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like I can, like I know I've said this before on the pod, but my granddad had he had cheese sandwiches every day for his entire working life, and he had apple pie for every dessert he had for his entire adult life.
Wow.
There were signs that our brains were not quite normal,
wired in an atypical fashion, or in a typical fashion, right?
Yeah, in atypical fashion, exactly.
Typical fashion. Yes.
The signs are there.
So what question?
I think for me, it's No, go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. One question I had, because I was listening to someone the other day, and they said that women in general, when they've been diagnosed with ADHD later in life, the first reaction is kind of relief, but very, very commonly the next reaction is anger. Is that something you experienced as well? Okay.
Oh, 100%. So for me, there were 3 emotions that I had. So the first emotion was like intense relief and validation. Like I just felt so relieved. My next emotion was actually sadness. So I cried like a baby in front of the doctor, and I apologized for crying like a baby because I'm such a people pleaser. And then I was really pissed. Honestly, I was pissed. And I say, and I've said this a few times to people, that I'm trying to channel my anger into advocacy, because I think that for me, the anger was looking back and saying, I lost so much of my life to not having the support and what I could have had if I had only known and known how to manage and navigate through that. So I think that was and honestly, part of it is a little bit mad at myself, because I did myself dissociate and pretend that I was happy and do it for so long that I thought I was happy when I was actually really miserable for a really long time. And that's my own fault, right? So I think there's anger at myself, and then there's anger at the sort of the industry. If you look at the history of the studying of ADHD, there was an amazing woman who sort of tried to go to the folks and talk about it in the 90s and was shut down. And that that makes me really pissed, honestly. But that's life, and that's how change has to happen and has to take time. So,
right.
So then how
kind
does
of
that?
So you kind of hang on, Paul. Hang on. Hold.
Yeah.
Is let me get my question ready.
Okay.
Can you gentlemen please raise your hands?
Yeah, exactly.
Be a good boy.
I think I did this last time, and then I forgot what the question was as well. Okay. Again, like
I can't imagine you forgetting a question.
I'm
getting distracted.
What the hell?
We'd never do that.
Right.
No.
But then, what I like about this story is that you can come from this, like this place of like, what's going on? Oh, hang on. Okay. What's up with my son? Okay. Oh, and me. Oh, and everyone. Oh, right. And you get angry and you can go on your journey. And then at some point you kind of go, you know what? There are more people like me. There are more women, especially out there, who I can kind of like put signposts out for them and kind of go, look, this way. This is what's
you're not
going
alone.
on.
You're not alone.
Yes.
And you're not a bad mom or a bad daughter. I think we talked about that the last time. I think I feel there's so there's so many things going on in my brain that my mouth just needs to catch up. So let me try to break them down and make sure I don't forget them.
Okay.
So I think that for me, there's the women who have been diagnosed late in life who feel alone and feel like they are failing at being a mom and a wife and what's expected of women in society. And I want them to feel not alone and realize it's just the way their brain is wired. But I also want to make sure that girls who are doing well in school, who are people pleasing, who are going down that path of anxiety and depression, that they are supported as well. So like for me, my girls were not doing badly in school. And even the first like psychologist that I went to was like, oh, well, she's not doing badly in school. I don't think it's a problem. And just, get her some help with organizing. And that was that was the advice that I got versus, hey, let's really understand the emotional issues and what she's navigating to try to help her more effectively. So for me, it's really about those two things that I really feel strongly that I want to help. And separately, but equally important, I think, I don't think I talked to you guys about my dad last time. Did I? I don't think I talked about my dad last time.
No.
So I think when you go through this kind of situation, you can take one or two paths. You can take a path of bitterness and just be pissed, or you can take a path of like advocacy and like, I'm going to go do something about this and make things better for people. Right. And the reason that I took that, I'm going to make things better for people was because of my father. And so I'd love to just take a minute and explain it. So my dad did not have ADHD. So nothing about ADHD at all, but my father was blind. And he was born blind, but he was a public school teacher for 30 plus years. And he had a master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. And he managed to go and get accepted to be the head of his department and teach and do a whole load of things, including learning how to roller skate, which sounds easier than it actually would be if you're blind. Like learning how to roller skate is not a simple thing. So his whole life was like, I'm going to figure out how to do it and not being a victim of his circumstances always.
Totally.
And so he was he has been my role model my whole life. Even he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. He's no longer with us, but I saw him get diagnosed with Parkinson's, and the way that he battled Parkinson's for as long as he could, it eventually took him. But like that fighting spirit of I'm not going to be stopped by XYZ has fueled my sort of inner belief system. And that's why I always sort of take whatever it is and I'm like, I'm going to make this a teaching moment for me or something, and I'm going to make it better for people because there's no excuse to just sit in your bad, funky place forever. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Wow. What an inspirational person to have as your dad.
Like a real gift. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what an amazing example you grew up with. With how to deal with, obstacles in life.
Hardship and challenges.
Yeah. And beating it.
And
well, and just not being stopped or not being a victim. Like, I think that the thing is this whole victim mentality. It's like he had every right to have a victim mentality, every right. Yeah. And every time he was faced with a challenge, it was like, how are we going to fix this? I want to be the head of my department. And they were like, well, you don't have a supervisory certificate. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go get a supervisory certificate. It was like whatever needed to be done, he would just go do it. And so that to me, this like not having a victim mentality is honestly, I probably have it to a point where it's maybe a little bit of an issue. like I'm like, stop complaining. Like I don't have a lot of tolerance for people who are in that. And I think the other thing for me is I don't deal with discomfort very well. So I'm sort of like, okay, let's immediately go into like solution mode and make this better. And it's like, no, sometimes you need to learn in the funk. You need to sit in the funk for a minute and actually like learn the lessons that are there. But it has served me well my whole life, but I just need to, sometimes your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. So I have to learn to feel uncomfortable and just sit in the funk sometimes for a bit.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah,
One of the things we've talked about quite often is, yeah. Go on, Martin.
No. You were on a roll.
I kind of, before I got diagnosed with ADHD, I kind of recognized that my sensitivity was my best friend and my worst enemy, you know, and I kind of like, and it still is to this day. But now I just like, now that I've accepted that and like picture it and almost give it a kind of a personality, I can manage it better. It's like, okay, so let's tilt the balance in more in the direction of, okay, sensitivity is my friend and not my enemy, or as little as possible. Yeah. And
I love that.
The other thing is, you were talking about victimhood. It's so easy to get into victimhood, and I think I did that for way too much of my life, and in the end, I got bored with it. I kind of started listening to myself, like being a victim, and I just got bored with it, and it's just such a waste of energy as well.
I say that complaining is like, it's like scratching poison ivy. Like, it feels good at the time, but then at the end of it, you actually feel worse than you did when you started.
Yeah.
So I kind of go, let's have a bitch session and bitch about something, but then let's move to solution mode at the end of it.
Yeah.
So I always try to sort of cap off with like, what's one thing we can do to make the situation better? Because I have had situations in my life, especially from like a work perspective, where I just sat and I was like, this sucks and this person, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, okay, no, what are we going to do about it? Because you can always
it's really
do something,
contagious, isn't it?
not everything. It totally, and then you're infecting everybody around you with your negativity, and everybody has that poison ivy that they're scratching, and that's just not a good place to be. It makes a toxic culture. Martin, I want to make sure you have your voice heard.
Yes,
exactly. I was what I kind of like about, well, one of the things that you're good at, which is you've managed to kind of like navigate a career and the office and the corporate world and all of that, as well as having ADHD. So in my head, because I've been down that road as well, like it's mostly about trying to dampen down the kind of the destructive sides, and then like really working out how you can use your hyper focus and all the skills that actually ADHD gives you some good stuff as well. Then trying to use those, and then just keeping the less desirable stuff down, which I know that is a balance that not everyone can do, and they'll end up burning out, like weeks, days, months, years down the line. So I've hit the microphone. How do you find your ADHD kind of like helps you in your in your work life?
So it's fascinating because, well, first of all, there's a really amazing organization called understood.org. And I just did a podcast with them. They just released it this week called Minds at Work. And I had a whole conversation with them. And honestly, it was super enlightening for me because I hadn't really thought through all this stuff. But now I can answer that question, Martin, pretty well because I've thought about it. And what's fascinating to me is back to like sensitivity. You're talking about sensitivity being sort of your greatest strength, your greatest weakness. What I realize is I am an empath, like a hyper empath. And so sometimes that's a problem for me because I project and I feel other people's emotions, and it's really hard for me sometimes. I'm either like fully in their business or I'm fully out of their business. It's hard for me to find that in between. But being a hyper empath, I can put myself in other people's shoes very easily. If I know you for a little bit, I can generally put myself in your shoes. And being in a consumer insights function, you putting myself in a 75-year-old woman with arthritis' shoes and being able to sort of channel her in a way with my partners, like freaked them out, not freaked them out, but like shocked them. The ease with which I'm able to do that. So I could always be like, okay, well, here's how she would think about that product. Here's how here's how she would talk about that product. Here's how she would articulate her needs. And people would be like, holy shit, like, how did you do that? Because they couldn't do that naturally. So for me, I never realized that was my neurodiversity that I was tapping into. I thought, wow, I guess I'm just really good at like putting myself into other people's shoes. I didn't realize it was my empathy and my hyper empathy that was enabling that. Also, I could really put myself into the shoes of my stakeholders. So I could really think about and understand what that person needed to hear, what that person needed to be influenced, all the things about the people that I was working with. And I'm in an enabling function. So for me, understanding this person has to hit their number, and what's on their minds today is blah, blah, blah that came from their boss. So when I go to them, I have a conversation that is tailored to understanding their needs. I'm the best partner they've ever had in that way, right? Because I can leverage my strengths there. The issue that I run into is that emotion is really high and really strong. And so when I sit into meetings where I need to dampen it, and I think you guys were talking about sort of dampening it, I have to kind of like turn that, I have to manage the dials on the emotion. And I think I might have told you guys this last time, but I call it like Tina on 6 or Tina on 3. Like I have to kind of like turn the dials of my personality down and be like, okay, I can't be Tina on 10. I have to be, and it depends on generally like the level in the organization and the amount of familiarity I have with someone is like, I'll start in a much lower level with you. And then I'll just decide how amped up the personality sort of volume you can handle of me. And then I will allow you to see that level of the volume. But I'm very sensitive to watching and seeing how people interact with me. And that's how I gauge whether I can be successful and I can interact the way that I do. It's very much about mirroring and being empathetic to the people around me.
Nice. Yeah. I'm going to go slightly sideways in that understood.org, right? I applied for a creative director job there. I don't know, maybe a year ago.
Interesting.
Because I was like, oh, ADHD, yes. Podcast, yes. I'm ticking all the boxes here, guys. Yeah. But I didn't get the job. So I suspect that you may have actually interacted with the guy that got the job that I didn't get.
I don't know, because I didn't talk to the creative director. I talked to the CMO.
Oh, right.
So maybe he was interviewing that person. Maybe he interviewed you, but they have me on the women's council right now.
I didn't even get as far as interview. So I was just ghosted,
thrown over, and that's the ghosting. The ghosting is rampant right now. I think I think a lot of folks are going through that sort of application process. So,
but you were saying on the women's council, so I didn't want to miss that little
nugget.
Yeah, that little nugget. What's that?
So, I've only been on it for like 6 weeks, probably, but I sort of came out of the ADHD closet we've talked about before on LinkedIn. I went big. I told everybody. I was like, that was Tina on 10. I went all in. That was Tina on 10 to all of my LinkedIn contacts. And I have a lot of LinkedIn contacts. So I was just like, basically everybody I've ever worked with before. Let me just tell you something. And I kind of went out there. And with that, I had met someone from understood.org at a conference once, and they were part of my contacts, and they reached out to someone that was in understood.org and said, hey, this woman is like basically putting herself out there. And not many people in corporate America put themselves out there as saying that they have ADHD, because it's really kind of a risky proposition. And then they came to me and they said, hey, would you be willing to be on our women's council, which is sort of like an advisory council? And, we'll be spokespeople for women and ADHD and corporate America and that kind of stuff. And I was like, sure. And so they were like, I went to their offices. So I've gone to a couple of things for them, and they recorded a podcast with me for their Minds at Work. And actually the reason that I was in New York this week was my daughter one of my girls participated in a study for them. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. Excellent.
So it's kind of a neat thing that I never thought when I hit submit and I posted that thing on LinkedIn that I would have the ability to connect to all these different people and organizations. And I think that's where people say, just jump off the cliff and just do it, because things will manifest from it. And I think I'm sort of seeing that kind of thing happen now, that things are manifesting because I sort of just took the risk and jumped off the cliff, So
that's great.
Jump off the cliff. Maybe not literally.
No, okay.
Throw your hat over the wall.
Throw your hat over the wall. Thank you. Much better.
I love that. I love that expression.
That one came from Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love that.
I think that's a better expression than jumping off the cliff.
I want to talk for a second about. Yeah. Go on.
No, you're on a roll, Paul.
Oh, okay.
You want to talk a second about what?
About age appropriateness, being age appropriate. So, for example, when you're late diagnosed woman, with ADHD, and you're listening maybe to other generations that are in your situation, so they may be in their 20s or 30s. Does it? I'll give you an example. In my example, as a 58-year-old man, and listening to people talking about ADHD, and they're kind of like 30 years younger than me. It doesn't feel like we're talking about the same thing sometimes, because you've lived with ADHD for maybe 20, 30 years undiagnosed, more than they have. That doesn't negate what they're going through, their experience, but it seems different to me a lot of the time. Is that, do you find that as well?
Well, I guess I think a couple of things. I think that there are late diagnosed ADHDers. And what surprises me is there are women on there who are saying, I'm late diagnosed ADHD, and they're like 30 years old. And I'm like, really?
Right. Yes. Yes.
I'm like, girl, I'm like,
yes, exactly.
And I'm sure, by the way, the 65-year-old women are like, girl, you are nothing. So I think everybody's experience is their experience. So if people feel like they have lost portions of their life, which they have, like if you weren't diagnosed as an 11-year-old, right? My son was diagnosed in second grade. So like he's had the ability since second grade to have the conversations, the structure, the scaffolding, the help, the support since he was in second grade. And so anybody who wasn't diagnosed very early in life are later diagnosed. Then the later you're diagnosed, the more you've lost. So I think for women especially, I think the experience of feeling a loss of that time period of not being diagnosed is a shared experience across generations. And I do feel like the expectations of women being on top of their game and logistics and all that kind of stuff, I think is also a shared experience across generations, especially if you have kids or married, that kind of stuff. So for women, I think it manifests similarly. What I am seeing is like women, and also a little bit of an attitudinal segment of like the superpower people. So that's more of a, I'm going to geek out on consumer insights for a second and say there's like an attitudinal segment of like people who are just like, it's a superpower, and you could be 40 and say it's a superpower. And I think that there's the two vectors of it's a superpower and it's a disability, and like it's a bit of both kind of thing, people. But that to me feels like the most disconnecting thing that I see versus the generational piece, because it's really polarizing is the word I was looking for. That's what I've noticed. But I'm curious to hear from you, like when you say their experience feels really different than yours, How does it feel really different than yours?
I don't know. I suppose what really kind of resonated for me when you talked about the polarizing discussion about superpowers. If you're like diagnosed in your 60s and you have a conversation about superpowers, that's a tricky one. You know, that's talking of superpowers is a bit of a luxury that you could talk about. You know, when you've been diagnosed in your 20s and 30s. You know, as a almost 60-year-old, it's kind of like it grates a bit, because I guess
and I think that's right. We all feel a degree of resentment, right?
Yeah, because we've accumulated so much more difficulty and so many more obstacles, and
well, I think like that's my impression of it, as when you're younger you're kind of more malleable and flexible, and you're still trying to work out life and everything. And then as you get older, if you're late diagnosed ADHD in your your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, then you've all of your coping strategies, all of your masking, everything has been almost like baked in for like decades. And it's almost become part of your personality.
Yeah.
It's like it's ingrained deeply. So
I love that baked
the conversations that you have are going to be very different.
Yeah. Also, do you find the language is different?
Go on.
Oh, okay.
Can I challenge both of you for a minute?
Yes,
I'm going to challenge both of you. Okay.
Challenge.
Right.
Challenge. I'm going to challenge you. So I'm 51, right? I was only diagnosed like 2 years ago. My life has transformed since then because I know what I am dealing with more. And by the way, medication is a wonderful thing. So I have no issues leveraging medication to help me with the anxiety that I have built up in myself. That's what's been hard coded or baked into me, is this anxiety. And so I manage that with medicine, and I have no qualms or guilt that I feel about that, because I think kids maybe they might not need that level of support because they've figured out how to regulate themselves and have the structure and the support. They might not need that kind of medication, but I think it depends on your willingness to take in and change based on what you're learning. That's my challenge. But I am a internal optimist. As I said, I will never be a victim. I will always look at something as what can I learn from this, and how can I become better by what I'm learning. And so if I'm learning about how my brain works, how can I be a better person? How can I be a happier person and a better partner for everybody if I know how my brain works now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that, Martin?
Especially if do you want a specific example or just a general comment on that?
Well, it's up
whatever
to
you feel like doing, Martin.
Well, whatever you like. I mean, I think that's especially true when you live with a partner, because you end up like the whole language and the whole relationship changes.
Yes.
So the conversations I have with my wife are very different now than they used to be. And there's a lot more leeway. So she's also neurodivergent as well. And if she says, "Oh, can you do this thing?" and it would be an annoying small thing, but I know, okay. For example, the TV we watch in the evening, right? It can't be exciting or dramatic or challenging or creepy or weird, right? So she has to watch that in the last
she watches the
couple
radio.
of hours. It is almost like Hallmark level.
Yes.
Level
it's wind down time. It's her wind down time. It needs to be wind down TV.
Right, where nothing happens. And it used to annoy me until I understood her and
the way her brain works.
Me and how my brain works and how her brain works. And then, okay, right, this is important. So, yeah. So in those ways, it's and you're continually doing it, right, all the time. It's not like it's just a one-shot course and you're done.
Yes.
It's like
it's a journey, right? It's a
every
journey.
day, right?
And you learn new things every day. I think my husband's neurodivergent in a different way than I am. And I'm not going to get into it, but we do talk about, in our family, we talk about the slow brain and the fast brains. So like his brain is different than me and the kids, but I give him grace and space because I understand more how his brain works. And he gives me grace and space because he understands how my brain works. And they usually work in different directions.
You see, Tina, this is how it works, right? People who are looking for a partner, they go, oh, do I get a neurodivergent one or do I get a neurotypical one? And actually, what I found is, I think you could vibe with this is actually, if you get a neurodivergent person, but they have to be the opposite neurodivergent person to you. So if you're completely unorganized, they're organized.
Yes.
If like
OCD,
and then these two people become an entire normal brain.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I see
right. You can get two weird brains, put them together, and create a normal functioning brain.
But if you don't understand how the different brains operate and to what level and degree they operate that way, you can just trigger the shit out of each other all the time.
On the other end of it, it is nightmare.
It is extraordinarily triggering all the time.
Triggering the shit out of each other. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure my husband would be proud that I described our relationship like that.
I mean, everyone does, surely.
I want to.
There's also. Sorry, I was just going to say, and nobody in our nuclear family has been diagnosed with autism, but I do see a flavor of that spectrum running through our family as well. And I think I've seen a lot more about ADHD as well. And I think that's also an interesting piece. Like one of my girls, I can see some of that. I call it a touch of the tism. I think she's got a little touch of it, and I can see how it manifests in her. And my son's manifestation of ADHD triggers the shit out of my daughters. So the two of them are triggering each other constantly. So it's like, wow, I'm so sorry, guys. Like that's cool. But you see it and you at least you can have a conversation about it. So like I think growing up for me, I just got really frustrated. Now I can say, okay, so you understand. He's stimming right now. Like he's verbally stimming. That's why he's blah, blah, blah all the time. And you're RSDing. So like your big emotions are being triggered by him making noises, but he's making noises because that's how his brain is processing things. And so the nice thing is now my kids, I thought about this the other day. My son like went into the garage. He was processing his emotions and he was like, I need to go away, Mom. And I need to be alone. And he was regulating his emotions. And I was like, holy crap, my 12-year-old son like knows how to regulate his emotions. And he knows that he needs time by himself to regulate his emotions.
I really envy.
And I'm like, that made me feel really good.
Yeah, but also envious. Also envious. It's like, God, I wish I had those tools when I was 12.
A little bit of that, definitely. Like, a little bit of like, I wish I could have had conversations with my mom like that.
Yeah.
Because they've got a little bit. Although I was more probably proud of myself as a parent. Okay. I was proud of myself as a parent. Actually, I was like, I did that. That was me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, one of the things Martin was saying about language.
Go on.
I think language is a massive thing. One of the things I think is really liberating for my ADHD is on so many levels, acceptance. This is how I'm baked in. And some things I'll be able to change and some things I won't be able to change and some other things I can try and change. But accepting I found really liberating in the last 2 years. and that's been quite a slow kind of process of acceptance, but it's great.
We use the term grace, and we use the term grace and space in our family, and I use it with myself all the time. It's just like you have to give yourself grace and space for the way that your brain is wired, and just accept that your brain is wired that way. And your brain being wired is a fact and not a judgment. And so if you accept that fact, then you can say, okay, how do I work with my brain? What are the things I need to do because my brain is wired this way? Like, I think, and maybe because I had a blind father, that helped, because my dad couldn't help the fact that he couldn't see, he just had to figure out how to navigate life without being able to see. So in my mind, it's like, okay, well, my brain is just wired like this. So how do I navigate life with a brain that is wired differently? And what do I need to make sure that I need help with and can articulate the help that I need? And at the same time, I have gifts that I bring to the party. Like, I can help you understand other people's feelings. I can, come up with wacky, crazy ideas when other people can't do that, so there's gifts I bring to the party, and then there's help that I need. And that's sort of me, and understanding that makes a difference.
There we go. That is the perfect point to kind of go, right. If you do you have 1 minute or do you have 4 minutes?
I'll give you guys 4 minutes.
All right.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
So when we have a guest on the show,
yes,
we you are now a member, a citizen. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
Of ADHDville, and that means that you can set up a little business or a thing or a something
activity
within ADHDville that you can call your own. So we've had other guests have opened up secondhand bookstores, record stores. We've got a theme park. We've got a taco and tequila bar.
Yes.
So our guests are gradually building out our town. So what little corner of ADHDville do you want, and what do you want to put in it?
So I think what I want is a combination ice cream coffee shop.
Oh,
and I want it to have like a space where you can just sit down and chat with people. So it's like a Cone and Coffee chat.
Cone and Coffee.
Right. Cone and Coffee. Yeah.
There it is.
The Cone and Coffee chat spot. Yeah.
Nice.
With
can you have coffee flavored ice cream?
Tina's Cone and Coffee. We're besties. Yes. Ice cream and coffee. Yep.
Nice.
Actually, I think there was I once saw a store called Drip and Scoop is actually, I think, what they called themselves. So I won't take their name, but we can just say Cone and Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ice cream cone, to your point. Thank you. Okay. Ice cream. Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tina.
Yes.
For
thank you so
coming
much.
on, doing a part 2. And if you want to hear more from Tony, Tony. Why do I call you Tony? I know that you live in New Jersey. You're Tony, yeah. Why? Yeah, why?
Yeah, Tony from Jersey. Yeah, Tony from Jersey. Yeah. I get that all the time.
Oh,
all the time.
It's so easy to slip into.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you? Where can we find you?
So that you can find me in a couple of places. So you can find me on TikTok, which is my favorite place. Your ADHD Bestie. You are ADHD Bestie. But I also post a fair amount on LinkedIn. And that's, my full name is Tina Tonelli, Tonielli, not Tony Tonelli, but Tina
Tonelli.
Tina Tonelli.
We'll get some coffee.
Yes, we'll go get some coffee. I post there pretty regularly, and I have something called Project Badass that I post
wow.
there. That's all about unleashing sort of your inner badass and sort of connecting to your authentic self, which is really fun.
Okay.
So those are the two places that I would say people could find me.
Wonderful.
Perfect. All right. Well, that just actually, you didn't get to get involved in the outro last time, but here we go. We're in the outro.
We're in the
This just
outro
leaves
bit.
me to say ADHD is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us most amazing, and feel free to correspond with us in the comments. But wait, there is more. If you wish to see our beautiful faces, then sally forth to the YouTubes and the TikToks. And you can pick up a quill and email us at ADHDville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
Grace and space.
And I beseech you, fellow ADHDers,
And
fare thee well with gladness of heart.
There, says the mayor. That's that.
That was good.